you will have a good understanding of what I call the holy science. The holy science consists of astrology and astrotheology, mostly. Okay? Now, astrotheology is kicking around a bit lately. It has been for thousands of years, but it's been persecuted. So people don't know the characters. When they read about Jesus in the Bible, or Humpty Dumpty, for that matter, in the nursery rhymes, Little Red Riding Hood, they don't know who the characters are. We've lost the science. All the characters are the same people, the same entities. Those entities are always the most fundamental objects of the solar system. They are the characters. The characters that turn up in every myth, every legend, and every nursery rhyme, and every great Bible or Gospel, there they are. There's Helios. That's the Egyptians called Helios Atum. We call it atom. Same word, because it is an atom. An atom has an electric light core, and then it has magnetic bodies called electrons floating around it. As you will see in the myths of the Greeks and in the Bible, these characters always turn up. The main characters are always the sun and the moon, which goes around our earth. The moon is not there. You can't see that floating around the earth, but remember, it's not in this picture, but it's there, and it's one of the seven. They are the seven orbs in the sky that our eyes can see, the components of our atom. In Egypt, these were called the cosmocrators. This is the demiurge. When Christians talk about their God, it's this God, the maker, the former of physical bodies. It's not the Ein Sof, the prime source, the prime creator, which dwells in the ether, which has no definition. We just cannot describe this one. We know that God is love. We know that God is light. That's what the Bible says anyway, if we're looking at what the ancient traditions say. Well, there it is. There are 4 scriptures in the Bible that define God. And one of them is Psalm 84:11. And it says, "For the Lord God is a sun," S-U-N, "and a shield." I'll show you what that means later, because there's a shield protecting our earth called the magnetosphere. That's the earth, that's the sun, and these are mass coronal ejections. Now these solar flares will strip the atmosphere of the earth in an instant if this magnetosphere did not exist. So in Psalm 84:11, when it says the Lord God is a sun and a shield, that's what it's talking about. Because the Lord God is a sun, not the prime creator, the demiurge. Okay? So when I talk about God, there's the twofold definition there. Remember that there's the Ein Sof, the ether, and these formators. And how do they form our bodies? Well, the magnificent shapes that in the sky, geometric patterns that these patterns, that these planets design in the sky, they're beautiful. They're just magic. These, for instance, I'll just give you one example. There's the Earth and Saturn. You will see 30 rings, because it takes 30 years for Saturn to go around the Earth, around the Sun. So you'll see 30 rings there around that one ring, right? because every time, as Saturn takes 30 years to go around the sun, it does all these retrogressions and it does all these circles. There's 30 of them. Those patterns and all the other planets that are doing the same thing, these are just a few examples, by the way, just a few of the geometric forms that are sustaining our bodies and giving them form and keeping them in form.
It's very much like kaleidoscope sort of shapes.
It is. Beautiful geometric patterns that keep us sustained. And what happens, the result is these seven energies that are in our body. They come from the 7 planets. Moon, Mercury, Venus, Sun, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. And it's from the rings of Saturn when we burst the crown chakra, as we transmute our lead into gold and we open up these chakras, these wheels, everything's wheels. As we do that and we climb from the base is the earth where our physical bodies are. And as we climb up and activate these chakras, you'll find that the purpose of humanity being on the earth is to activate these 7 powers. When we are clothed in these bodies that we have, we are said to acquire 7 vices. And we are to turn those vices around into virtues. True virtues. So our love becomes unconditional. And jealousy is turned into empathy. And when we do that and we master those things in the holy science, we return back to the heavens whence we came. The ether. These are the 4 elements, the Platonic elements. Sorry. Right over there. The Platonic elements: fire, air, water and earth. In atomic theory, scientists know that all atoms will do either this: light, gas, liquid or solid. All atoms. In fact, some of the periodic tables show that very, very clearly. It's not hard to get one of these on the internet. There you have your solids, right? The blue. There's your liquid, the orange, and there's your gas. So when they were talking about these elements, they were talking about science. Now, they also correspond with the 5 Platonic solids. Are we all familiar with the Platonic solids or the Pythagorean solids? Pythagorean solids? Okay. These are the solids. Those 5 shapes are the Platonic solids. These are the only 5 shapes that will fit inside a sphere, and they will touch at the corners, at the edges. So there's the tetrahedron, has 4 sides. Tetra meaning 4. Octa is 8. Icoso is 20. Hexa is 6. And dodeca, that's a Greek word for 2 and 10, 12. So we have 4 sides. That's fire. That corresponds with fire. So these are the light photons. Hex, carbon, corresponds with carbon. By the way, at the outer there I've got all the 4 elements that make up 90% of our bodies. Okay, and they correspond. These are perfect correspondences. And as they come down from the ether, they get grosser and grosser. Okay? Just bear that in mind. So these 5 Platonic solids are how atoms will act and behave and shape themselves. They will be either solid, fiery, radiant, gas, that's the octa, it's got eight sides. And icosa, water. Interesting, 20 sides for water. Right, and there's your dodecahedron, the ether. And that commands all of them, as you will see. All right? Now, these characters keep turning up. Abraham and Sarah, sun and the moon. Jesus and Mary Magdalene, sun and the moon. King Arthur and Guinevere, sun and the moon. And usually the hero has his 3 or 4 close men by him. That's Mars, Jupiter and Saturn, because the sun is the lord of them all. In the Greek myths, that's Helios, that's Hermes, Aphrodite, Venus. Mars is Ares, that's Zeus, the god of thunder, he's the boss. And he overtook Kronos, Saturn, as the boss. He's been ruling in the age of Pisces for 2,000 years. Jupiter. The Jews know him as Jehovah. The Catholic Church calls him Peter, Jew Peter. So the Church of Peter at Rome is the Church of Jupiter. But don't be confused, because it's also the Church of Christ. And I'll show you that. That's Christ. And it's also the Church of Saturn. Okay? They've done this deliberately. They say they're Christian. It's not Christian. It's a Saturnian church. Hot, he's the hottest boy in the solar system. He's the coldest of the 7 that we see. Okay? So there's this, they are considered as twin brothers, Jesus and Satan. Saturn is Satan. And its church is the Latin church, the Church of Saturn. That's why they wear black. It's the Grim Reaper. This fella here, Saturn, there's actually a hex. This is a true picture of Saturn, people. There's a hex on top of Saturn. It's a gas giant. It's made of hydrogen and helium, just like the sun. That's a hex. And he's the Grim Reaper. So, as you will see later, you'll see how all this comes about and how it starts to make sense. But everywhere you will see these characters, and this hero, of course he's the hero, because without this sun in the solar system, we get to perish in an instant. He's our saviour. And as the Bible says, he's coming in the clouds. Every eye will see him. I am the light of the world. And those 4 scriptures that describe God in the Bible, God is love, John 4:8. God is light. Well, I wonder whether they knew what they were talking about when they said that. God is a blazing fire in Hebrews. Wonder what they were talking about when they said that. And how many Christians think about that? God is a blazing fire in the Bible. And the scripture I just read to you from Psalms, that the Lord God is a sun and a shield. So as we see, I'm going to show how all the fairy tales, all of them, all the nursery rhymes, all the legends, whether you've read the Ovid's Metamorphosis, or the Iliad, or the Odyssey, or the Aeneid, or Shakespeare, or Dante, or you can recall any of those nursery rhymes and those beautiful fairy tales at school when you were a little child growing up. Jack and the Beanstalk, Little Red Riding Hood, Cinderella. What do they mean? Well, we're going to learn the science of what it means. And they're all based on the natural cycles of nature. Everything. They're all based on the natural cycles of nature, which is basically our true religion. Now, true religion? Religion has had a war for the last few thousand years against science, has it not? There's always been this war. And the religionists have persecuted many, many scientists. Under religion we have theology. Under science we have philosophy. Theology has been at war with philosophy and the philosophers. Plato, Hermes, Plutarch. Seneca was killed, had to eat the poison. Nero's philosopher, who's basically the founder of Christianity. You read anything of Seneca's and you'll find it absolutely perfectly harmonises with anything that Jesus ever said. Because as I will show you, that the words that were put into Jesus' mouth come straight from the philosophers, straight from Plato and straight from Hermes. They're rip-offs. They're not false. We just haven't been told where this wisdom really comes from. The Bible is a book of, it's full of treasures. But for the fool who takes it literally, and even the Jews say in their books, I can show you some quotes and I will, that if you look at these stories of ours, and as absurd as they are, and you treat them literally, you're a monkey. Because it's science. The Bible is there to enslave fools and to enlighten the wise ones. It really is. And you'll see that. Love of wisdom. Why wouldn't you love wisdom? Sophia is a goddess. Theos is a god. It's male and female. We're talking about the right brain, the left brain persecuting the right brain. The left brain's a tyrant. It's male. It's connected to the five senses. This is the five-sense religion. Theology. This is how it is. They give you dogma and doctrine. Over here we study, we learn, we observe science. Because under philosophy there's three branches. There is logic. There is ethics. And there is physics. Science. 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 It's all science. It's all learning. It's all understanding the world, how it is. Those boys over there have counterfeited these three and given us, sorry to turn my back on you, morals, ignorance, fear and superstition come here. They prefer you feed on ignorance, fear and superstition, and we'll give you some morals. We'll make them up and we'll shove them down your throat. Don't worry about your own ethics. Don't worry about your goodness and your path back to God. Forget about that. Just believe and you'll be saved. We'll have a vicarious salvation. Right? That's what the churches are offering. They're saying to you, just believe in our doctrine. Don't question. And one day, you're just going to get saved because you've believed. Don't worry about your alcohol problem and your whatever, anger problem, and the fact that you commit other crimes. Just come to church and believe. So morals and doctrine. That's how it works. That's how it works, guys. Here, how do I know the world? How is the world made? The world being what it is. How do I live in it in order to secure happiness? Apart from that, you don't need to know anything. What else is there to know? Excuse me. All right? Here, they tell you this is the dogma. This is the doctrine. You follow it. Otherwise, you'll go to hell. And ignorance, well, they're the people who tried to kill Galileo. They killed Giordano Bruno. Giordano Bruno died 30 years before Galileo. People don't even know that. He was saying the same thing. There are three things that are outstanding about what Giordano Bruno died for in the year 1600 in Rome. 7 years he was being questioned in the Inquisition. And he's written a lot of books, some of which I've read. And they're very, very powerful. And they're teaching the same thing as I'm going to teach you today. Philosophy, all of this. Truth. Verifiable facts. Three things that Giordano Bruno said was, if we don't go back to the religion of Egypt, and the Catholic Church has been persecuting that religion, true Christianity, for thousands of years. And I'll show you that Christianity was based, it was a worldwide religion based on nature, based on this. And they've perverted it and corrupted it and dished it out in a vomitous fashion, where you can go down to the local priest anywhere in any of these churches and you're sure that your children will not be protected from pedophiles. I guarantee you, there's no protection there, because they run a system of horror and terror. And they're behind the war on terror right now, believe me. But this is coming back. It's coming back fast and ferociously, because we are waking up the true science. Giordano Bruno said that in 1600. They pulled his tongue out. The day they burned him, they stripped him naked. They pulled his tongue out and put a device there and a nail through it so that he could not talk to the crowds at Piazza dei Fiori in Rome. There's a statue there today. And people on the 17th of February every year pay tribute to Giordano Bruno. Get on YouTube, get on the internet and study what he said. The other thing he said was that there's many, many, many inhabited planets in the universe. And the other thing he said that stood out from what I've read is that the Bible is not to be taken literally. Okay? So we're coming around again. All the Renaissance masters were teaching that. All of them. So it's handy to read some of those Renaissance masters to see what they were thinking, because the Christians were quick to retaliate to that awakening that was happening. Started in Florence and then spread all around Europe. Beautiful wisdom. Then came the Reformation and the Counter-Reformation, the 30-Year War, and they succeeded to stifle the truth once more. But this time, it ain't going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's out of control now, and people are leaving the churches in their droves because they're not being satisfied. Because they're not being satisfied by given truth, true information. Okay, so what I want to establish is, let's get to know the solar system. Because it's in the knowledge of the solar system that we understand the cycles that will teach us all the wisdom that we need. There are three fundamental motions of the solar system: the day, the year, and the great year, or what's known as, again, the Platonic year, because of Plato's work and how he enlightened the West with regard to this beautiful cycle which lasts about 25,000 years. Okay? We're coming to the end of that cycle on the 21st of December 2012. We're coming to what's called an equinoctial crossing. So what I'm going to be teaching now is I'm going to be teaching about the day, the year, and the great year. The great year, I'm going to be using a figure of 24,000 years. That's exactly how long it takes, in fact. It's 24,000 years, just like the 24 hours you have on your clock. Because it comes from that. Because the ancients knew that we lived in this great wheel. And how did they know that we lived in this great wheel? Well, it's simple. East is that way, there's west. Okay? I'm just going to turn it around a little bit so that you can see me pointing over here to the east and over there to the west. Okay? Now, when the sun rises in the east, it always rises in a 17-degree belt called the zodiac. the zodiac. That's how wide it is, and it's 30 degrees long. So the sun will always be, it's in Taurus at the moment, right? It's the 15th of May, so it'll be in Taurus for another 5 days. But it's always in this belt, and it's called Aphrodite's belt. In the Bible, it's called the Mazzaroth. But it's the zodiac, because the sun never leaves that belt. It's always there. When it rises this morning, if you could see the stars behind it, you'll see the bull. Okay? Even though there's been some processional slippage, and it's not exactly the bull, it's Aries. If you look up and you go, hang on, the sun's in Aries, it's not in Taurus. Why do they say it's in Aries? Well, because it's slipped out 30 degrees. With the zodiacal wheel, "12 signs of the zodiac" here. If you have Aries here and then Taurus here, the sun's actually here, it's not in Taurus. Because there's Pisces and there's Aquarius. We know we're going into the age of Aquarius. We've been in the age of Pisces for 2,000 years. Before that it was 2,000 years of Aries. Before that it was 2,000 years of Taurus in the Egyptian days. Because we're going backwards, we are going backwards through the 12 signs, and the sun stays in there for 2,000 years until it does a full circle, and that's 24,000 year great year. Now, when we look to the east, we see the sun rises in the east, sets in the west. The stars are doing the same thing. The zodiacal constellations are coming up in the east, and they go around and they set in the west. And so do so does the moon, and so do the 5 visible planets. Have you seen them this morning? Did you see there's a beautiful, there's a magnificent conjunction at the moment in Aries. There's Mars, 4 of the visible planets, and Uranus, which you can't see, are all in Aries. It's beautiful. If there's no clouds tomorrow morning, I suggest you wake up, because there's a pyramid in the sky. Yeah, it's like this. It's like Mars, Mercury, Venus and Jupiter. And of course Venus and Jupiter are so luminous, and you'll see it in the east.
Is that, because I noticed it the other night, and I thought I was looking at to Southern Cross.
It's in the morning 5 o'clock.
It's beautiful.
All this month.
Yes. And setting directly opposite in Libra is Saturn. I guarantee you that this is a war in heaven that is in all of our Bibles. I haven't had time to research it yet, but this is the big conjunction. Because in 3 months we're going to get a visit by a very large celestial body called Elenin. And around about September the 5th, all the way to the 22nd of November. And the 22nd of November is a very powerful date. It's the one and only day of the year in which our sun passes through the centre of the Milky Way galaxy. It does it every year. In between Scorpio's arrow and Sagittarius' arrow and Scorpio's tail. The 22nd of every month is powerful because it's the handover day, when one sign hands over to the next. When Taurus hands over to Gemini. It happens on May the 22nd. And then June the 22nd is the same thing.
Talking about something from the 21st of May. They're saying, Christ will return on the 21st.
All of these 21st and 22nds coming up are going to be very, very powerful. Starting from this May. Because May the 21st is the opposite of November the 21st. And they are both days when the sun goes through the galactic plane every year. I'll explain that later. I'll explain that because that's very important. This is an amazing alignment. It's amazing that Saturn should be in Libra, which is the sign of its exaltation, if you know your astrology, So Saturn's very happy right now in Libra. Looks beautiful. In fact, if you look up, you'll see it's in Virgo, next door. So I'm looking at the Holy Virgin in the sky, and there's Saturn. It's beautiful. But really, it's in Libra. I'll explain this later. You have to understand this. The science is still all good and calibrated, regardless of that 30 degrees of slippage. We need not pay any attention to that, and I'll explain why. Okay? But the day gives us night and day, night and darkness. And there already you see the enemies of mankind. Night. The night has always been an enemy of mankind. The year is divided between two polarities of summer and winter. Winter has always been an enemy of mankind. That's when you die. It's cold. Most people die in winter, in extreme weathers. Lack of food. Didn't put enough bread in the pantry. The house is covered in snow and it's there for 3 months. And you've only got a chimney to breathe with. And a little bit of wood to keep you warm. And some bread in the pantry, a bit of olive oil. All right, winter's a killer. These are the two enemies. And here we go from the golden age to the silver age to the bronze age to the iron age. The 4 ages. And I'll explain, this is beautiful. How do we get to the golden age? How come we've been in the iron age? How come? Well, we're going to know that. You're going to have that explained. But we need to focus on these 3. By knowing these 3 cycles and only these 3 fundamental cycles, you will understand everything that's about to come that I'm going to show you. So this is quite easy to understand. The day obviously is ruled by the god of day, that's the sun, as Plato said. We need a third thing in order for our sense of sight to be activated. They can't be activated without the sun. All the other senses don't need the sun. They don't need a third thing, was Plato's argument to Socrates. So this god of day, the sun, day comes from the word dies, God, in Latin. Year also comes from the name of the sun. Do you know how? You see the word yeah there? Well, it comes from the word yes, which comes from the word yes, which is the sun.
What about, I think Yahweh, is it? That they're saying that Jesus Christ has a name that means Yahweh? That got something to do with that?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Yes. Yahweh, Jehovah.
Yeah.
But Jesus is specifically, that's the name of the sun. Just like the moon is called Luna. It's funny how people have not been taught to name the sun. The sun. It's got a name. In Hebrew it's Michael or Emmanuel. In India it's Krishna, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. In Egypt it was Osiris, Set, Atum, Amun, Horus, Ra. I'll show you that. And I'll show you that the sun will have a different name depending on where it is around the 24-hour clock. When the sun is directly above you at 12 o'clock, it's Ra. When it's rising, it's Horus. When it's setting, it's Set. When it's below your feet at midnight, it's Osiris in the tomb, the black tomb of Saturn. So we'll get to that. How do we know that the sun is yes? Well, they tell you. You just have to look. You can Google those images. Google the image for the sun, and you'll see the word yes. I-E-S. This is Greek. That is eta in Greek. It's an E. Yes. There's the Pope with the yes. And when we say yes and we nod our heads because the sun rises and it sets and it's positive affirmation. Yes, It's the word for the sun. That's it. There's the yes. He's always been called yes. In fact, in India, they call him Yes Krishna. And that's when Constantine adopted this name for their new god, the Mithraic god of the sun. He said, we shall call him Yes Krishna, Jesus Christ, in the Latin equivalent. There's the yes on the cross. It's the sun. So they tell you this. There's the Jehovah's Witness magazine, The Watchtower. You've seen that, haven't you? Jehovah, the one who is vigorous in power. What symbol? The sun. Believe you me, the governing body of the Jehovah's Witnesses know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. Why do you look for the living among the dead? He is not here. He has risen. Just as the moon gives us the month, so does the God give us the day. Because the day comes from the word dio, dios in Latin. So it's the God of day. And the year, comes from yes, the sun. Minute comes from the moon. Hour comes from... Just switch those two letters around. That's all you've got to do. What hour is it? In other words, where is Horus? Where is Horus right now? What hour is it? Okay, so what I'd like to do now is explain to you this great year, because you're so familiar with this. It's not too hard. You get two seasons that are divided into 4, summer, autumn, winter and spring. And the same thing's happening here, by the way. People don't realise we've got quarters. We've got morning, afternoon, evening, night. We do. It's all in halves or quarters. Just adapt to looking at these in day and night or quarters, summer and winter or 4 seasons, and the 4 seasons here, the golden age, because that's exactly how it works. And the good news is we're coming out of that dark age. After 2012, big, wonderful things are going to happen, especially for the ones who are ready. Now, a lot of people are concerned about this readiness. And I will go into that later, because you don't have to be a great guru, and you don't have to be one of these people who can walk on fire and perform miracles and wonder workers. It's love. It's just all about love. Real love. True love. This world has corrupted the whole concept of love and families and communities. They've perverted it. It's a corporate monstrosity. And it comes from think tanks like the Club of Rome and Bilderbergers and the Trilateralists and all these absolute insane, putrid minds. And they're dishing this out. You look around in society, you've got McDonald's and you've got all this just corporate shit. It's gone to poo. But we can see that. And that's what's our salvation. We've been saved from that world. People believe in that world. They believe, Osama bin Laden, let's retaliate, and the war in Libya. And they believe in it. It's just theatre. It's not happening. It's not happening at all. It's just their world that they're trying to control, because they're losing grips of their world, because people are waking up. And Goliath is about to be slain, and they know it. And we're getting help from all over the universe to fight this evil enemy. It's been around for about 3,500 years, since the days of Akhenaten. I'll go back into the history of that. But we will be victorious. Okay, so there's no need to fear. There's nothing to fear. Not even Elenin that's coming. And it's coming. It's going to be going through the sun and the earth at 0.2 astronomical units, which is very, 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 very close. And it's going to be going straight past the path of the earth, and we're going to be going right through the tail of it by November this year. That's how close it is. Now, if you send me an email, I'll send you a link where you can see this. There's a 10-minute video thing getting around, and I can email that to you so you can see it. You can see that the graph that the scientists have written, drawn out. There's the sun. Elenin's coming through here. We've got Mercury, we've got Venus, we've got the Earth, and it's coming in like this, and it's going to go in like that. Here's the Earth, and it's going to go straight past out again, and we're going to go through this tail. We're going to go through the tail at 0.2 astronomical units. What's an astronomical unit? It's the distance from the Earth to the Sun, 92 million miles. That's 1 astronomical unit. At the moment, Elenin is 2 astronomical units away from us. And it's coming quick. In 3 months, it will be here. That's Nibiru. We're talking about Nibiru here.
Is that the sun? Is that the second sun that you can see in the sky? Yeah.
Yes. Okay? And we're going to go through that tail. But nothing should ever allow you to fear. Okay? There's some scary stuff, but it's scary for them. It's scary for the people who haven't woken, because they're in for a rude awakening. It's going to bite them on the bum for not paying attention.
We'll play that video at lunchtime.
Sorry?
I'll play that video at lunchtime.
Yeah.
What authority have you got to say that what we're seeing on that video is real?
Yes. 15 minutes for tape change. Okay. Okay, let's have a look at this 24,000 year cycle. We need to just spend 10 minutes on that, then I'm going to get into the good stuff, all right? This is a book that I'm going to be using for all the next 10 minutes, 15 minutes of graphs. This is Walter Cruttenden, Lost Star of Myth and Time. It's basically about our sun being in a binary. Our sun is in a binary with Sirius, the brightest star in the sky, 8.4 light years away. There are other closer stars, and usually when you, even Walter says, when you suggest that Sirius is the one that is in with our sun as a binary, usually people tend to say, well, what about, there are many more stars that are closer, but as you will see, I'm going to give you some proofs that we are in a binary with Sirius. Now, how he describes the binary, in a beautiful little picture here, which I will draw on the board for you. We have a binary with Sirius, and it goes something like this. There's Earth, there's Sirius. Okay? And they go around this way. Oh, sorry. The sun. Thank you very much. There's our sun, Jesus. There's Sirius, which is Isis. That's Isis. And scientists know that our sun comes from Sirius. Sorry? No, Nibiru comes around every 3,600 years. All right, so it's different harmonic, but it's related to all of this. Just a little bit about Sirius. Our entire solar system, with all its planets and moon, describes a huge circle around another sun in space, viz. The star Sirius. Now I'm reading from George R. Goodman, who wrote this in The Age of Reason, an article in the Free Thinker, probably about 40 or 50 years ago, I don't know, but it's early 1900s. This movement takes 25,920 years. That's the figure you'll hear mostly for precession, for the great year. 25,920. Walter Crittenden's using the 24,000 years, just like I'm going to be. I'm using that figure, 24,000 years, not the 25,000, okay? And I'll explain why there's a difference. This movement takes 25,000 years to complete, and during that time, our sun appears to traverse through the various constellations or star clusters. This was already known to the ancient, from China to Mexico and from Babylon to Egypt. Okay, so Sirius is the star that is mentioned there. Our sun was thrown off from another sun, Sirius, doesn't mention it here, but it is Sirius, around which it revolves, taking 25,827 years to perform its cycle of the year. And the person who wrote that, Albert Churchwood, in the 1800s. Now, what happens is they go around each other clockwise, and it takes 24,000 years to do one circle, okay? When we come close to each other like this, we're in the golden age. So it's a long time. It's about a good solid 10,000 years the golden age lasts. Then we start going to what's called the silver age because of the distance now. There's more distance, you see. They're parting from each other and they're saying goodbye. Bronze age. Dark age. Simple as that. You can see that. It's quite clear to understand. Here's one fact that proves that we're in a binary that Walter Crittenden presents, and that is the fact that Sirius, now a bright blue star, 2,000 years ago, was red. This is an amazing fact. When I tell that to people, usually they just don't grasp how important that fact is. Sirius has changed colours. Now again, in this folder that I have about Sirius, I've got, that's Aratus, the most 300 years BC. This is 2,300 years old, this poem. One of the first poems dealing with the movement of the suns and the planets and the zodiac and everything like that. It's beautiful. In here, he says Sirius is red. That's 2,300 years ago. We know it's blue. I've got, so that's Aratus. I've got Marcus Manilius, the astronomer to Caesar Augustus. Astronomica, one of the most beautiful poems that will teach you, most of what I'm teaching you comes out of Marcus Manilius here today, that poem. 5 books called the Astronomica. In there he says, now get this, he's the first one that describes it as blue. Talking about Sirius, he says, hardly is it inferior to the sun, save that its abode is far away and the beams it launches forth from its sea blue face are cold. Now, and I've got Horace, 1st century Horace, saying it's red. Seneca, red. And Ptolemy, red. So what's this, how do we resolve this matter? How do we understand what happened with Sirius 2,000 years ago? Well, it was exactly 2,000 years ago that Sirius turned blue, because when, let's say this is our Earth, okay, our sun, and this is Sirius, and they're moving away from each other. Moving away is the Doppler effect called red-shifted. So those bodies that are red-shifted, are moving away from us. Blue is coming towards. So Sirius must have, 2,000 years ago when it changed colour, it must have turned that corner and then started, and now it's coming toward us as blue. Simple as that. It cannot be any other reason. There are scientists, if you get on the internet and you look into this problem of Sirius turning blue, there's a lot of articles up there, and you'll see how a lot of mainstream consensus scientists try to write this phenomena off by saying that it must have been some sort of, there must have been some astronomical, cloud dust or something around that time, and it appeared red because we could just see the red refracted light coming through that cloudy stuff that was around. No, we're in a binary. And here's some other proofs that we're in a binary. Now notice I said to you that that is a clockwise orbit. They go around each other clockwise because with our orbit around the sun, we go around the sun every 365 years in an anti-clockwise orbit. And we also rotate, Earth is rotating anti-clockwise. So if we go back to those three fundamental motions of the solar system, day, year, and the great year, we see that these ones are anti-clockwise, these two motions, anti-clockwise and anti-clockwise. So we do 365 of these anti-clockwise turns, rotations, as we orbit the sun 365 times, right? Anti-clockwise, anti-clockwise, clockwise. Why am I stressing this? Well, all those celestial bodies, the sun, the stars, they all come up in the east and set in the west. That's because we're going around anti-clockwise. If we were going around clockwise, they would come up, the sun would rise in the west, and the stars, and the 7 planets, the 7 visible planets. They're called the wanderers, because the stars behind them, even though Jupiter looks like a star, you look up and you see Venus, you think, oh, it looks like a star. It doesn't look like a planet. All right? But those ones are wandering, because they move fast. And you can see that they call them the wanderers, whereas the fixed stars are always relatively fixed. So every day, all those bodies come from the east and set in the west. Every year the same thing happens. The zodiac belt is always coming up from the east, and every month it moves 30 degrees. Right? So all your 12 constellations are moving 30 degrees every month until they go around every year. The great year, all of those same stars that seem to be going, there's a river in the sky and it all goes east-west. Every day they go east-west, every year they go east-west. But in precession, all of those same stars go backward. They just precess. That's what precession means. That's why they call this year precession of the equinoxes. Because those stars are going back every 72 years, 1 degree. 1 degree, 1 degree, every 72 years, the average lifespan of a human being. And then finally it comes back to the equinoctial point, which is what we're doing. That's the galactic plane. Our sun does this every 24,000 years. We are right here now. We are about to go into the northern hemisphere of the Milky Way galaxy. We've been in the south for 12,000 years, and we go 12,000 years in the north. That is what's happening at 2012. The galactic plane looks something like this, and our sun has been traversing that slowly for the last 15 years. We are now around about there. And that's what 2012 is all about. That's all it is. It's an equinoctial crossing. But why aren't the governments of the world preparing a great big party? This only happens once every 24,000 years. Why the silence? Why is there so much silence about this beautiful science that is taking place right now in our lifetime? All right, so we see that the daily and the yearly motions of the stars are east-westward, but in precession, they go the other way. So that's why you have pyramids and stones like Stonehenge and all these monuments that are there to monitor precession. That's why they're there. But they're also there for the day and the year. But most importantly, they're there for precession. Even the measurements of the pyramid, they're all measurements that are harmonics of the 24,000 year cycle. Now, someone asked me in the break, why do you use 24,000? Well, when corrected, according to Walter Cruttenden, when corrected, because precession is not a constant, the figure of precession, the ratio and the rate is not constant. As we get closer to our sister star in this orbit, it speeds up. As we come racing towards Sirius, and Sirius races towards us, it speeds up here and it goes much faster than in the outer over here. So when corrected, it reduces down to 24,000 years, even though you will see the number of 25,920. But usually it's never under 24,000, and usually it's never over 25,920. Now, the other reason why I use 24,000 is because the Hindus do. Now, this is a book by Sri Yukteswar called The Holy Science. Obviously, that's where I got the theme for this talk today. I'm calling it The Holy Science because that's what they called it. That's what Marcus Manilius called it. That's what you probably haven't heard of this guy, 2nd, 3rd century astrologer, called Firmicus Maternus. That's what he said. It's a sacred and pure science, the holiest science, the most beautiful information that you can ever have. Now, what does Sri Yukteswar say in The Holy Science? Well, this is what the Hindus knew, and where did they get their information from? Well, begs the question. We need to ask that and do some research into that because science doesn't tell you much about the great year. We've forgotten about it. You don't learn about it at school. You don't learn anything about it. It's creepy. It's the most important cycle that we should understand it because then we can understand how history went from good down to bad, then went back up to good, then went back down to bad, like a yo-yo. Just like look, now we've got bad weather. We had better weather in summer. Now it's light. In 12 hours it'll be dark. These are the cycles. These are our cycles. We're locked into them. Locked. Just like the female is locked into the moon cycle, and has a menstruation cycle. She can't escape that. Men don't have it, but women cannot escape that. It's the moon that dominates them, just like the sun dominates us and the great year dominates our spirituality. And where we're going in the great year, the place where we're going right now is a beautiful place of enlightenment as we go through the photon belt and we get more gamma rays from the core of the Milky Way galaxy. That's what's going on. This is what Sri Yukteswar says in the opening words of his book. We learn from Oriental astronomy that moons revolve around their planets, and planets turning on their axes revolve with their moons round the sun. The sun, with its planets and their moons, takes some star for its jewel, binary. Yeah, is that right, spelling? Yes. Because someone did ask me, what does binary mean? Well, it's two, like the binary system in the computer. There's two stars. By the way, there's 80% of the stars that you see are binaries. The other 20%, well, we haven't watched them enough. But when we do watch them and pay attention to them, we will learn that there's no one star out there on its own. Just like our atoms must get together and form compounds and then cells, or go from compounds to molecules. What's a compound? Well, H2O H2O, hydrogen, and 2 of oxygen, makes water. And we are 75% water. So atoms like to congregate. It's very rare that an atom will just go monotomically, or a star will just float out there on its own. They all belong to star systems. And in fact, we're not just involved in a binary. We're also involved with the stars of the Pleiades, and in particular Alcyone, Pleiades, and we're also involved with Procyon, the small dog. This is the big dog. Sirius is in the big dog, Canis Major. Canis Major. Procyon is the small dog. They're the 2 dogs that follow Orion in the sky, the hunter, as he kills the bull, Taurus. Right? He's got his 2 dogs behind him. One's the small dog, and Sirius is the big dog. And the reason why they call it a dog is because it dogs our star. It follows our star. It's the dog. Keeps dogging our star, following it. It takes some star for its jewel and revolves around it in about 24,000 years. Of our Earth, a celestial phenomenon which causes the backward movement of the equinoctial points around the zodiac. Just what I've said. The stars go backwards. It's a phenomena where they go backwards every 24,000 years. Now, so you can understand that. As we orbit, it appears that the sun is rising in the east, but it's our sun rotating. Our Earth rotating, that's all it is. It's the Earth, we're moving. They're fixed, virtually. So we see all these bodies rising in the east and setting in the west. If we could live for 24,000 years, we would actually then notice the slow backward movement of these stars, and that's how we would know that we're in this cycle, because that's a cycle. Right. I'm labouring the point, and you'll see why, because it's so beneficial to learn this and understand this for what's to come, the next part. Just a few more proofs that we're in a binary. The Great Pyramid. There's King's Chamber, Queen's Chamber. There's a beautiful big King's passageway there, and then it shoots off there to the Queen's Chamber, and then it comes down here, and there's the entrance there. There's some underground stuff going on down here, right? This is the one without the top. The all-seeing eye is supposed to sit in there. By the way, that represents ether, and this is fire, earth, air and water. Okay, ether, fire, earth, air and water. That's what the pyramid's telling you. That's the ether. It's uncapped for a reason. Yeah, well, it has too, yes, but when it's placed back on there, you will see this thing is going to come back to life very, very soon. Even the Bible talks about it. In Isaiah, it says, there will be a monument built by the Lord in the heart of Egypt, on the border of Egypt, because it is on the border. Lower Egypt was everything from where the pyramid is. There's the Nile Delta, and there's the Mediterranean. The pyramid's right there. That was Lower Egypt. This is Upper Egypt, where Thebes is down here, and Luxor, and here is Cairo, and the pyramids on the Giza Plateau. That is in the middle of the land of the Lord. It will come back to life, and we will know what it was all about very soon.
Are they going to physically put a cap on that?
I don't know.
It's going to be interesting.
It is, but something's going to happen with a cap. It's going to be found, because it was stolen, it was removed, and it was. There's a lot of information about this Ben, and over the thousands of years. If you read Tony Bushby's books, he's got a book. He's a Queenslander who exposes all of this false history that we've had, and explains some of these mysteries about the pyramids. Tony Bushby, and it talks about this, how it was stolen and removed. Annuis coeptis. Yeah, they put that on there. FDR put that on there because what it means is you've got annuis coeptis in Latin means announcing the conception. That was the year when the Freemasons and the banking system implemented its New World Order, because on the other side of that you've got Novo Ordis Secularis, the New World Order announcing its conception.
What year was that?
33. In 33, we became the world, the banking system, all the countries became bankrupted, right? And we were used as collateral via our birth certificates for all their loans. So we're slaves under that system. Whilst we have a birth certificate registered, Regis is the king. You have given the title to your soul to the Vatican, and the people who manage that, who manage this trust, we have a trust, it's worth about $15 million. Your birth certificate's worth a lot of money. The bankers are issuing bonds against it from the day you were born and making billions. You have earned billions for the bankers, billions. Have a look at Tim Turner. Tim Turner on YouTube, America Can Be Free. And you will learn how he is bringing down the court system in America, probably single-handedly. Big suing, big cases. We're going to catch these bastards. The private guild have been running the Vatican's trust system since the Knights Templars from about the 1500s. They have been running this system. So when you go to court, you actually front up to the priest. It's ecclesiastical. It's the Inquisition. The summons is an indulgence. You're going there to pay an indulgence. You're going there for a court hearing. Father, I have confessed. Because they're managing your account. Because you're a ward of the state. You handed in your birth certificate. Yeah. Well, we do that to our children too. I did that to my son. But now I know. But you can collapse these trusts. There's a guy called Franco Collins in Australia. Check out his stuff. I'm promoting his stuff. And I'm doing seminars also on law, teaching us how we've been enslaved and how we can get out of it. Because every time you get a fine, a utility, everything, it's being charged already to your trust. When you pay, you go to the post office and you pull out wads of cash to pay for your electricity bill, it's already been paid for. Everything's prepaid. It's all prepaid. You're not they give you a statement for your utilities, not an invoice. It's just a statement telling you, we've already dipped into we've got your numbers, because you signed with us, we've got your numbers, we've dipped into your trust, it's been paid for, here's a statement. And you go to the post office and give them more money. We've been enslaved, we've been duped in a big way. But it's more important that we focus on this, because this will show you the biggest lie that was ever told. Not that one. That's the second biggest. The biggest one is about the Jesus history story. It's a big lie. It's a whopper. But the bigger you tell them, the more the stupid ones will fall. They'll fall. And they're going to their churches in droves, learning about a historical Jesus who's going to appear one day and save them. It's impossible. We are responsible for our own salvation through the course of love and consciousness and truth. We speak truth to one another. We verify things. We prove things. We are scientists and philosophers, lovers of wisdom. We don't go down their path. You see how people, when they get in a uniform, like a policeman, you see how they act, and they're tough, and they're over and above you, and they're going to indict you, and they're going to, and I've got tasers and I've got guns. This is barbaric. This world is barbaric how we've come, and we've allowed these police officers to walk our streets. They're just a corporation. Vic Roads is a corporation registered on the Securities Stock Exchange Commission in New York to rub it in your nose. Not even in Australia. It's all of it. The Commonwealth of Australia, Vic Roads, all of these corporations are all registered in New York. They're traitors. Everything, political parties, all of them. That's all it is. But this exposes them. First you get to the biggest lie, and then you deal with the second biggest lie and all the ones thereafter. This is big exposure. There's a shaft running out there, there's a shaft there, there's a shaft there, there's a shaft there. The 4 air shafts of the pyramid, okay? This is south, this is north. These stars point to Draco in the north.
Aren't 2 of those blocked?
Yeah, they're all blocked.
Aren't 2 of them only go out?
All of them. They're all blocked. They're all blocked around here. This is the Gutenberg one where they sent that little... this is the interesting one because this points to Sirius. It always has, it always will. Because Sirius does not precess. Remember those stars that precess every 72 years? Sirius is always there.
Is that the pole star?
No, that's the pole star. Polaris is over in Draco. Not in Draco, but
The pole star doesn't creep.
north and south. Yes, well the pole star, there's no star at perfect north.
We will tackle the subject via energy and how energy can be used to heal. So if we grab the word energy, we'll have a look at that word carefully. We'll see that it's nothing but an anagram for green. Okay, so G R double E N, and just for shits and giggles, sorry, we put the Y on the end. Greeny, green. And we see that the 12-petaled heart chakra is green, and it's the middle of the chakras. Here we have blue, here we have indigo, here we have violet, ultraviolet, and here we have yellow, orange, red, and infrared. Okay, so what we find is when it comes to colours, that the green is in the centre. Now, this is a torus field, and this is the only form that the universe knows. Creator, which is the energetic, that's the energetic, the dielectric. Let's call that source creator, Krishna, Christ. Here is magnetism, and magnetism is motion. Mag in Sanskrit means to move. So this is rest, this is motion, and the effect of these two field modalities or action reactions is electricity, electrification. Okay, so this here is the neutral dielectric plane of inertia of every torus field. This is an atom, and this is our solar system. As above, so below. So all fields, or rather all motion, extrapolates itself out of this central counterspatial point, the 0 point, and galaxies work like this. You'll find atoms, galaxies, everything works like this. Everything is torus fields. And so as the lines come out from that inertial plane, where there is the principle of rest, or you could say inertia and acceleration. Okay, this is inertia and acceleration. This is force and motion, mag, motion. And this is the electrical effect. In Bhagavad Gita, this is the internal energy of the Lord. This is the marginal energy of the Lord. And this is the material energy of the Lord, Krishna. And essentially, the creators of torus fields are stepped down Krishnas. Brahma is a step down Krishna. I'm a step down Krishna. You are a step down Krishna. Everything is expansions of source, of Krishna. So we are parts and parcel and minute parts of the one, individualized in atoms. All is Atum. Adam, atom. Same words. I can do a list of hundreds of words that go back to Atum. Okay, so this is the Adam torus, torso. And your torso, this is the heart, okay? There are 12 petals here. 10, 11, 12. It's the heart chakra, 12. This is Jesus and the 12 apostles, Hercules and his 12 labors, King Arthur and his 12 knights. And so what happens is blue shift. So if you look at your torso, your throat chakra is blue. Here is blue. And essentially these two colors are just a supercharged blue color. So your torso knows the science. You've got blue shift at the top of your torso, torus field, and you've got red shift at the bottom. So this is the base chakra. Here you'll have orange, here you'll have yellow. And these are the colors of hell. And the bottom of your body is called a heel. Your heel or your soul, because this is hell. Hell is, well, you'll see this word in the word hello, hail, help, helios, helix. We're going to find that this is the double helix. This is everything from all kinds of energy. And what we're going to find that is that this blue shift is the healing part. If this were a magnet, all magnets have poles, okay? What they call quote unquote poles. Now, they're not really poles. Essentially what's happening due to phase disparity of electromagnetic current or torrent, river, flow, flux. So because due to phase disparity, you'll always have blue shift, red shift, anywhere, all atoms, they're not polarized, they have blue shift, red shift. Okay, so this is high frequency, high capacitance light, low frequency, long wave, low capacitance light. Okay, so blue lasers, which are nothing but coherent light, as opposed to this beautiful sunshine, which is white incoherent light. Here we have lasers are coherent. They have a coherent field, which means that all the little atoms inside of the light beams of a laser are all lined up like this, like little gyroscopes. And there's no incoherency like this. This is incoherent light, white light, and this will be a laser. And so all magnets do this. They have a 0-point inertial plane, the dielectric plane, and this is magnetism, centrifugal, divergent. Centrifugal, divergent. And so what magnetism does is it goes out like this, reaches its tropic. We could call this the Tropic of Cancer. Always on top, blue shift. Very important to understand that at Cancer, the healing sign of Cancer of the summertime is blue shift. Capricorn is red shift. Saturn, the ruler of Capricorn, red. Okay. Jupiter, the exalter of Cancer, blue, blue ray. Mars, the exalter of Capricorn, red. So here we have Capricorn. And here we have the equator. So what happens is when this divergent ray reaches its maximum field of arc, Noah's Ark, the red rainbow of Noah, it's here. This is the Ark of Noah. So those electromagnetic transverse waves, this is the longitudinal pulse of the universe. This is a pulse, okay? What material scientists, particle physicists will call a particle. No such thing in existence. It's a pulse. It's a spiritual pulse. And so they are, since they are deluded and are false prophets and pseudoscientists, they teach a wave particle universe, whereas what we're learning here today is a wave pulse universe. This is the pulse, the dielectric electrostatics. And those divergent lines, when they reach their wave amplitude, they then start converging. And so at this point here, the extremity of the energy of this particular magnet or atom or solar system, it's all the same. There's only this shape. This is the only form, and these are the three field modalities that produce this form, and hence your body has a torso. And this word tor is actually the T, the cross of the Christians there. This is like the swastika. Turning, tornado, torque. If you take the R and the L to be interchangeable, the L and the R, the right and the left, the red and the blue, red and blue, blue, red. This is compression, rarefaction. So here we have rarefaction, compression. Here is 1.618 phi. Here is 1. The ratio with the red, always, all of energy is like a pine cone or an egg, the golden eggs of creation. Okay, so here is red shift, here is blue shift. Compression, rarefaction. Healing, destroying. Okay, so here you have 1, here you have phi. I'll do that properly again. Very important that I do that properly, because as you can see, that's a torus field. Just like this is a, you know, your McDonald's well, that's here. That's the M of Atum. And this is the T of Atum. And this is the O of Atum. All is Atum. That's what the Egyptians ever said as their greatest revelatory, initiatory teaching in their history. In fact, this is all of our history. This is Aries, the ram. Okay, so Aries, if you take the 12 signs of the zodiac and you put Aries here, where it should be, for the first 30 degrees of arc of every torus field, then you get the symbol of Aries. And of course, then this part here is Taurus. Taurus, spelt yes, sorry. Taurus. Tau for Taurus is Tav in Hebrew, which is this, the Tav of the Torah which is an anagram for rota. Hence, when you look at your beautiful tarot cards, you eventually come across a card that looks like this. And what we see here is the center of the 8-spoked wheel. We're going to learn about this today. And you'll see the fixed signs of the zodiac: Leo, Taurus, Aquarius the man, Scorpio the eagle. And they correspond to Yod, He, Va, He, Jehovah, the 4 elements. You see the Yod, He, Va, He? Then when you take the T over here and you go this way, T-A-R-O-T, that's tarot. Then you go the other way, you get Torah. And then you start down here at the bottom and you go this way, you've got rota. This is the wheel, this is the cycle or the circle. Circe, the goddess of the circle, who turns men into swine, and El, Circe El. So we're going to learn about circles and cycles and how they can heal us today. So essentially what comes out of here is the M of Aries, 30 degrees. And that's why the horn of the ram is to be blown by the priests of this science. So this is the Lamb of God. Christ is the Good Shepherd. Here is the Bull of God, the golden calf. Krishna is the good cowherd. Aries and Taurus. Aries is the cerebrum. Taurus is the cerebellum, the bull, the cerebellum. And those 2 brains, the cerebrum, left, right, and the cerebellum, the ram and the bull are what causes your feet to ramble on. So this is Gemini, the twins, the 2 pillars, Jachin and Boaz. Then what happens is this has to now decline. And Cancer is the month of mourning. Ramadan, the Jews mourn in Cancer. They call it Tammuz. The Cancer, month of Cancer, June, July. June, July. So mourning because the sun now has to decline. Leo, Virgo is here. And then here are the scales of Libra. Libra is the 7th sign. That's the symbol for Libra, the sun setting. Because if this was a day cycle, this will be 6 a.m. morning. The day begins. This is daytime. This is nighttime, below the horizon. This is the horizon, horizontal, longitudinal earth plane. Our earth is a horizontal disk inside of a torus field. These are the stars up here as they go around. So those divergent centrifugal lines now become centripetal convergent at Libra. The sun, Horus, exalts in Aries. Opposite, Saturn, the symbol for Libra, or Libra being here in these 30 degrees, that's where Saturn exalts. Sun, Horus, Saturn set. Sunrise, sunset. So what we're going to see now is this is a 24-hour clock, okay? 6 a.m., midday, the midheaven in astrology. the DC, the descendant, and the IMC, 12 midnight. So 12 midday, 12 midnight, Aries, sunrise, 6 a.m. Libra, sunset, 6 p.m. The sun rises here and exalts in Aries, Horus. Saturn, set, exalts here. This is alkalinity. Alkalos means our Father the Sun in the sky. Alkalinity means, in Aramaic, our Father the Sun. The Sun is alkalinity. Saturn is acidity in astrology. Those two archetypes rule those of 7 tastes of the pH spectrum. So here we have divergence in the torus field, and at this point, at the extremity, we have convergence. And so we see how this is the day cycle. Day is, well, divine, deis, or deus, day. But this is also the year cycle. The year is short for Yaram. It's a Proto-Germanic word, Yaram. But they take the off, and we're left with year. Yes. Yeah. Jesus, the Son. And so what we have is we have the year is also here. So what we're going to do is we're going to model this torus field according to the day, which is the most common cycle we know and are familiar with, and the year, which is the second most common cycle that we know. And what we're going to find is everything relates to this. This is syncretism. Everything relates to this. Energy does this. Energy is a 12ness. Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, and then convergence. Alkalinity, acidity. Divergent, convergent rays. So here you see the hourglass in the middle here. This is the hyperboloid. And this is the torus. This represents magnetism, and this represents dielectricity, convergent rays coming in, because they're always doing this. It's called reciprocating. But at the same time that it does that, it's also doing this, going the other way. And that's called reciprocating. These are reciprocating, processional, hyperboloid, toruses. Reciprocating because the lines that go outward, divergent, are also reciprocating and field pressure mediating, like a beautiful lattice work, convergently at the same time. And this is how energy works. And there will always be a phi ratio blue shift compression north pole, which is actually, this is actually the blue is the north pole always of all Tauruses. Blue shift will always be on top. These are the blue heavens. This is the red hell. And below us, in fact, below our Earth, there are 7 subterranean planets, according to Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5. And you will read there are 7 subterranean hellish, they actually call them heavenly planets, below our horizontal disk plane Earth, planet. And then above us we have Moon, Mercury, Venus, Sun, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. And so it's a 15 planetary system. And this is the true cosmos. This has been described in all cosmologies, all of them. We tend to disregard this because we've got pseudoscientists now, Jesuits, who have been funding Copernicus's and Newton's with their gravity hocus pocus, Einstein, Galileo Galilei, Kepler, all of these people who are giving us the materialistic particle version of physics rather than the pulse version, are all funded by the Jesuits to prevent us from understanding that this is the only way that energy works. Walter Russell said, if you want to know the secrets of everything in the universe, the secrets is in the wave. Wave. See that wave? Ave. That's Ave Maria, Eve, because she is the wave. And this is and Eve essentially is Venus. Just put an E in front of there, and you've got Eve. And so the woman is the wave, and so is the man, because Adam is an anagram for, let's see where we're going to put this because it's getting a bit cluttered, isn't it?
You got plenty of space down there, yeah.
Adam is an anagram for Adon. Adon. Adon is the wave, because this is the same word onda, as in the Japanese Honda. Onda is the word for wave. It's an anagram of Adon, which is Adam. Adam, Atum, is the wave. This is the undulating, sorry, let's put that here where it belongs. The undulating onda, which means sound. And then when you go to Sanskrit, nada means sound. We see that the man is the wave and the woman is the wave. And this is the torso that we are given in the electrical body that we have. All bodies are electrical. All matter is Atum. Mother, Mot is the Egyptian word for the goddess Maat. Her, mother. Motion. Mag in Sanskrit means to move. Force and motion, inertia and acceleration. And they are the two co-eternal principles of the universe. And so what we have is black source light, Krishna, dielectricity. Everything comes from the black. Everything comes from the spiritual, transcendental, counterspatial realms. Everything. All of these Tauruses, all energy, all material phenomena, all the noumenal world is produced by magnetic, divergent, and transverse wave. This is the longitudinal, scalar, standing wave pulse. Here, everything is connected. This is the ether, the 0 point, the source. And it is black And the force, may the force be with you, magnetism, is white light of motion. The sun produces this kind of light. It's incoherent. The laser, blue laser, red laser, that is coherent light. Okay, so all the little gyroscopic atoms, spinning accretion disks, all line up and you've got a magnetic field. As Ken Wheeler says, magnets are field lasers. Field lasers. Everything is lined up. And so now you've got, you have multiplicative force with magnetism. And Tauruses are doing, they are force. Hence you get all these words. Yeah, I did get up to here before and I was saying talk, and if you take the L and the R as interchangeable, talking, talk, Tauruses, is the same as talk, okay? And so speaking is the sonoluminescent force which creates. You see, the Bible creates through bra, abrasion. This is abrasion, abracadabra, abra, opening. This is opening. So this is abra is here, abraxas, abrasion. Abrasion is this, dielectricity and magnetism producing their only begotten son, electricity. So when you talk, you are actually creating toruses. See, it's a torrent, a river of energy. This is the only way energy works. Torch, light. God is light. It's terrible. A tort, torture, turmoil, turbine, a tour. In Spanish, torneo, to do a tour. See, this is a touring. So essentially, this is the God L, because L is sound, bell. Baal, the bull, Taurus, is a bell. Okay? So if you take this as a 24-hour clock, which you do, 6 a.m. So we've got 6 over here, 8, 10, 12 midday, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. I've done something wrong, haven't I? 12. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. No, I've done something wrong. So 10, 20. Yeah, well, it goes back to 6. This is what bell is, okay? How do we know that this is bell? Well, it's simple. The word for clock in German Glocke. Glocke means bell, as in the bell in the chapel, cathedral, steeple. You always see a bell and a clock together because Glocke, Glockenspiel, ding dong, ding dong, all is a dong. The Glockenspiel is the Glocke, the bell. This is the bell. It's a dumbbell. There's 2 dumbbells here. And sometimes these have 4 polarities. Not always. Usually, Tauruses only have these 2, red shift, blue shift. That's what they call poles in dumbland, in particle physics, quantum physics, buffoonery land, okay? Because they're looking for particles. They're forever chasing particles because they're interested in particulates and particulars, not principles and source and cause. They love their effects.
Santos.
Okay, so
Okay, when you look at quantum physics, there's always 2 pieces to an atom. And they can't be in the same place at the same time. because that would be the butterfly effect. So there is one atom. So if you look at your chart, the red and the blue, there is one atom on one dimension. If you look in the middle, you have created a stargate, which an atom is on the other side of that. And quantumly, they are connected. Do you see this too?
Yes, they are. Yes, but we must not be using the words quantum, because there is no quantity. There's no all energy is fields, and fields are not particles. There are no particles. They don't exist. Walter Russell taught us that. It's all different rates of energy. Compression, rarefaction. So, they're right. They need a pat on the back, but no cigar. The wave and the particle are two illusions. The pulse and the wave are, one is transcendental reality. This is the pulse. And you said before they're connected.
Right.
The other is the illusion. The wave is the illusion. This astrological torus field, space-time temporal field that is created, these are space bubbles, time bubbles, and space and time do not exist. They are not principal autonomous entities. They are attributes, not principles. And so what we have is when the quantum physicists who are looking for quantity and particles, when they tell you that the wave and the particle, and that particle is connected with all the other particles, they call this entangled particles, yeah?
Yeah.
And they say one particle over here is resonating with another one in the galaxy of Andromeda or whatever they want to call it. Doesn't matter.
Right.
Okay? We have particles that are entangled with all other particles, or some in many parts of the universe. Well, this is true because longitudinally we are all connected to the one. This is the one, this is the two. Cause is one, effect is two. This is the electromagnetic effect. So quantum physicists, particle physicists, particles and quantities, that's just ways of measuring. But those are illusions. They're illusory. So in focusing on the particle, they are hiding the pulse, which is God force, which is God. Unlimited,
okay, wait. Okay, you have the red and the blue. Are they magnetically drawn together? And you also have the black with the white, right, in your diagram. Where there is black mass, the white is drawn to it, and that's where creation is. So how does this all fit in?
Well, the black and white yin and yang that I did over here before is the progenitor of the red and blue. This is the South Korean flag, okay? So you've got the trinity of sky, and you've got the six of earth, 666 carbon, earth, red. Adama means red. Adam, red. The earth in Hebrew is Adama, red. But this is also fire, red. And here you have air, sky, blue, blue shift, red shift. So here, this could be fire and water, but it's also earth and air. Blue is Krishna. Krishna's blue is either blue or black. So if he belongs to the first trinity, black and white, that's the black and white yin and yang there, right there. Dielectric, magnetic, white. That's Osiris and Isis, and she's always holding a little baby in her hand. Horus, horizon, rising. Atum, that's an atom. So what you've got is sky, earth, fire, water.
So would you say
Sky,
humanity is being drawn up? Like, let's say our consciousness is in the red zone because we're just starting out as newbies. Are we being motivated or torsion field or energetically, magnetically drawn up that tunnel of yours into a blue consciousness?
You said the word tunnel, didn't you?
Yes.
Atun El. All is Atun and all is electricity. Yes, we come through here from hell. When matter crystallizes, we come from the Milky Way. The Milky Way is up here in the eighth. This is the firmament. This is the Van Allen belt, whatever they want to call it. They've got all names. There's only one thing. There's only Tauruses. Nothing else exists. Krishna has only got gopi, cow, Tauruses. He's always tending, all his aten. He's always tending to his little cows. So when we come into the world, we get enmeshed in matter, red blood, red shift, blue shift, red pill, blue pill. Which one should I take? And then we grow and we go through our blue chakra up into heaven. So here you've got hell, heel, but the head at the top, and I'm going to throw this in the bin right now. That's done its service. Thank you very much.
I'll buy you a new one.
I need some new ones, and I should have got them. This is really bad. I've got a bad whiteboard and I've got bad markers. So, excuse me.
You're still getting your point across.
Yeah, I will get the point across if it's the last thing I do, and I've done it for a good 5 or 6 years now. It's all energy.
You've got 8 minutes to do it.
Yeah, well, it's been done. It's nothing new. I'm not presenting anything new because otherwise this wouldn't stack up. It all stacks up. Everything I've ever done stacks up 100%. I've always had people say to me, oh, aren't they a little bit tenuous? Some of your conclusions are a little bit tenuous, Santos, and these are smart people. And I just laugh at myself. I don't respond how I should respond and argue and prove that everything I've ever done is 100% there and I've just paid attention. It's not mine. I don't invent this stuff. This is universal mind thinking. And so, no, they're not tenuous. They're 100% accurate. And if you pay attention, you too will know the science, the holy science.
Okay, we have this indigo color, right? And some people, okay, we have this indigo color. And if you merge the red, the blue, and the green, you would get this indigo color that you need for ascension, right? Is that how it works?
Yes. Indigo is here. Violet and ultraviolet is here. Hence, you see this little tea lake that I put on. It's come off. I put it on this morning. There's it's the V or the tuning fork. You can see that in my forehead. If I wasn't frowning so much today, you'd still see those clay lines. Okay, so that's a V or a tuning fork. That's Vishnu, Christ. That's Jesus. That's Vishnu. The Paramatma in your heart, 4 inches long. It is. Some people can see this super soul in you. This is Jesus pointing to the heart. Yeah, many people have seen it. I can't see it because I'm not synesthetic, but I know. I don't believe any of this. I know all of this. Just as I don't believe in English, I know English, therefore I speak it. So I speak this language as well. Okay, so head heaved up, head, hell, heel. There's your heel. The human body, the human body knows its torso is a Taurus. Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Tropic of Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, always balancing. Libra, calibrate. Calibrate. Equilibrium. Libra, equilibrium. It's all there. No one puts this stuff here. These are old. This is the sine wave, the sin of Eve. Atom is the cosine, the cosinner. Atom is onda. Onda is undulating, the wave. Everything is the wave. If you want to know the secret of the universe, it's in the wave.
Where's
Ave
the
Maria.
ankh? Where's the ankh come in? Because you showed something with an ankh earlier.
Yeah, let's do that, huh?
Please.
That's the analemma, and I can show how astrology works on a flat Earth disk plane through the analemma, the same as I'm modeling the torus field. I can model all the symbols that ever existed. There's nothing that you can't, when you know this, there's nothing you can't read. Everything is cross sections of this. The letter M is here. The letter A is here. All the letters are God's. The universe was made with letters. Atom, atomology, etymology. All is atom, or all is amun. Amun, numa, numerals. Gematria, letters and numbers, letters and numbers. Pythagoras says it's all numbers. The Zohar says it's all letters. And then sometimes they even tell you that it's both, and it is. The letter A is 1, the letter B is 2, both, Beth. The letter C is 3, the Trinity. The letter C is 4, to see, clarity, clarity, light, or clair de la lune. So back to here, head heaved up, heaven. Heart, heaven. This is the doorway to heaven. This is the Dalit. And then up we go to the blue shift. Compression, rarefaction. So how about we go from here, the torus, to the ankh and the analemma, and explain how everything works astrologically. All is Atum. Atum is astrology, the science of light. Jyotish means, the Sanskrit word for astrology, the science of light. All is light. This is light. This is illumination. This is what God is. This is what God does. God is a pulse, perturbation or a pulse, the dielectric field. And what God does is this, you see? As Ken Wheeler puts it really beautifully, I urge all to study Ken Wheeler's material. Theoria Apotheosis is his channel. And you can spend hours there learning about magnetism and learning, well, stuff similar to this. I'm a Neoplatonist. I believe Ken Wheeler is too, but I include astrology and theology and cosmology, etymology, and all the sciences because I'm a syncretist. I'm not just a magnetrician as he is. So he will exclude some of these conclusions that I come to, but he will one day, everyone will. We all will remember this science. Remember. So
And this is why energy healing works. Why working with sine waves and works.
Well, I'm gonna show you, Sam, why, because we're talking about healing today. I'm going to show you how this is going to be directed to healing and solely for healing, because that's all we need to do. We need to heal. Helios. We need to help.
In 2 minutes.
Yeah,
2 minutes.
we're running out of time. So how about if you come back next week and teach us how this works?
Okay, I thought it was a 2-hour one, so that's fine. Next week we'll show how we can use magnetic manipulation, redshift, blue shift. See,
For healing.
The blue. Sorry.
For healing.
Yeah, the blue. This is the healing ray. So when you point the South Pole, that's the South Pole, not the North Pole. It's actually, Ken Wheeler says that the North Pole is actually the South magnetic pole on the Earth. So the North Pole, when you go up to the Arctic Circle, that's the South Pole. That's where blue shift is, hence your blue-green aurora borealis, okay? So with magnetic manipulation, you can point that south pole, blue shift, to your seeds, your plants, they grow better. You can heal your cancer, your leukemia with magnets. Hence, this is why they have magnetic resonance imaging machines that actually work on the electromagnetic retardation principle to change the shift differential or the phase shift and use magnetism for healing.
And it's
MRI.
also negative ions, where the red would be the positive ions.
Yes.
Because they're
yes.
magnetically drawn. Yes.
Neutron, proton, electron. Neutron, proton, electron. Israel. Israel. Israel means dielectricity, magnetism, and electricity. And I'll finish with that because in the East they have Krishna.
Before you go, hold on. Well, draw your thing, but I want everybody to know on ebh.club, ebh.club, I have a donation for Santos on my radio link. So if you go to the first page, you'll see his name. You can make a donation because he's working for us and teaching us this stuff. So we need to help him, just like we help Alex, we help Wolf Spirit Radio. We need to keep working together to help one another to play intellectual leapfrog. And
Yes.
I believe it's on Wolf Spirit Radio too. Okay, go ahead.
Isis, Horus, Set, Moon, Sun, Saturn. That's what the Jesuits are. They are material worshippers of these, not spiritual. They don't understand the true spiritual transcendent way of beautiful energy, magnetism, the longitudinal pulse of the universe. They want you to believe in their power grid of electricity, Baal, Bel, the false god of this world, because electricity, the red and blue, is an illusion.